Hey family, it's Tasha MAMABEAR Prepping. So welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. You already know what time it is, baby. Get your drink, pull up. Let's talk about it. First sip of the day, super good. Okay, so I don't know about you, but I'm up to here with all the drama, with all the stuff, with all the craziness. It's a lot of scary stuff kind of going on. It's a lot of like head swivel, can't keep it on, can't keep up. It's a lot. And so this entire week, I'm just going to do fun topics. I don't care if my views tank. I want to talk about preps, take it back to the prepping. A lot of folks are asking me for more lists. So this whole entire week is going to be nothing but videos of lists. I'm going to do a top 15 for different various scenarios. It could be an actual specific, natural disaster. It could be just for an event that we think will happen in the future. But top 15 is going to be my my go-to, theme this week. So with that, today I'm doing top 15 grid down kitchen items. These are things that you want to have in your kitchen when it's grid down. They're things that I want to have in my kitchen when there's no more power. Some of this stuff, obviously, you stockpile it. You'll see what I mean. And once it's gone, it's gone. So you have to learn to live with less. But most of the stuff is tools and stuff. So let's get into it. So first thing I have is can opener. That's a no-brainer, right? Got to have a can opener for all the cans, different foods, popping open cans. Depending on your can opener, maybe it has the edge that pops up even your pressure can lids off of those jars. Can opener, can opener, can opener. Cannot stress that enough. And having multiple. The next thing I have is a hand mixer, right? Having the ability to mix different various things without using your power mixer. So that could be for baking stuff. That could just be for mixing stuff, but a good quality hand mixer. Next thing I have is a grain mill. Again, you can get this in electric form, so if you have a way to power it, great. But if you don't, you need to get one that you can attach right to your counter, old school, very heavy hand mixer for grain. That way you can mill down, your wheat berries for flours, your corn for different cornmeal. So there's all types of products, especially if you're stockpiling whole products, that you're going to want to have your mill grain, okay? Your grain mill. And I know a lot of people have the electric ones. We have an electric one as well, but you have to have that backup hand one, okay? Next thing I have is a coffee tea pour over. This is just the simple kind that you have your cup. You just put it on top of your cup, put your grounds right on top of that, pour your water through it into your cup, take that off, drink your coffee or your tea, right? I think that that's important for tea and coffee, especially if we're grid down and you're trying to make a tea to make somebody feel better, and you have like maybe fresh herbs and other stuff that you've added besides just having like a tea bag, right? And adding some honey to it or adding some lemon. If you're trying to actually infuse some stuff and do a pour over tea with that. They have little balls that you, like capsule balls that you can put all those herbs in as well, and then that way you can dip it in the tea. But having the ability to make tea quickly pour over option. They have pots too that are pour over, where it's a pot that's a little bit bigger, that's going to hold maybe 2 or 3 cups, that has a pour over function on the top built into it, into the lid, and then you can then put herbs or your grounds or coffee or whatever it is that you're going to do and make a bigger batch. Okay, next thing I have is cast iron pan. Those are must, because obviously grid down, you're going to change the way that you're cooking, and a lot of stuff is very easy to actually bake and cook in a cast iron pan, especially if you're cooking like camp, over a grill, over a fire, even on the barbecuer. There's just, it's a very, very durable, good pan, and so you need to have some. And in my opinion, you need at least 2 at a minimum. You need the baking kind, meaning the big round kind, roasting pan with a lid. That's going to be good for baking different breads and rolls and stuff. And then you need a skillet. And to me, everything can be cooked in those 2 things. Skillet for frying stuff up, even making biscuits, cookies, things like that. And then you have that big roasting pan, and that can be to make stews and soups, bread, whatever. Okay, so you've got to have those 2, a baking one and a skillet one. Next thing I have is a large stock pot. Again, I kind of mean two things by this. You need to have a large stock pot in general. Yeah, if you're cooking for a lot of people, yes, you would want that. But I'm thinking more of water collection, being able to boil larger amounts of water. I'm also thinking a larger pot so that you can water bathe, so you can continue to make and preserve maybe stuff from your garden and different vegetables, different fruits, jams. There's still stuff you're able to do in the water canning. You know, the Amish, they don't even do pressure canning. Everything is canned in the water bathing. They just obviously boil it for much longer of a duration, but that's how they preserve a lot of food. So you have to have those pots, have those pans to be able to do that stuff, okay? Have the ability to do that stuff. Next thing I have is paper products. This is a no-brainer. This is what I meant by at the beginning of the video when I said, hey, there's some stuff like if it runs out, it runs out. So paper products, very, very good to stockpile and have those in a grid down situation, not having to do dishes with all these extra dishes and stuff. And just stockpile them so that you have enough. You want plates, you want big plates, little plates, bowls, cups. You want various stuff so that you are not wasting stuff and you're able to manipulate and use stuff of the sizes that you need for stuff, your utensils, things like that. Now, eventually, if we're talking long-term, EMP, whatever, that stuff is going to run out, right? And so you're going to have to, in the meantime, remember, we say you're stockpiling the things to get you through an event, and if it's a long-term event, to help you transition into learning how to do things differently. And so you would have to transition into washing dishes, eating on plates, and how does that look for washing and doing all the stuff in the water and everything that's needed for that, okay? Next thing I have is an actual pressure canner. So again, this is this can be dangerous, right? So you have to have the right setup for this, but you can get large cooking stoves for outside for canning. A lot of people do that just to be able to can outside on a regular basis, even now on grid. You have folks that can can on a fire. I've never done that. That's to me extreme. Like, you really have to know what you're doing to be able to do that and have the right leveling, a grade and stuff like that to put your pan on and keep it level, and then to be able to rise it and lower it above a fire. It's just very complicated when it would come to maintaining your pressure where you're at and holding pressure, right? And then turning it down so that it will hold at that pressure and not continue to go up. So a lot of things to think about, but there's a lot of easier options out there and easier things to get to help you to be able to can outside. So get those things and get the pressure canner. Next thing I have is a drying rack. This is really just thinking about doing old school, making jerky, drying fruits, vegetables, different things that you would dry outside. You know, you don't have your dehydrator anymore, and just old school, how they used to dry stuff. I mean, jerky, really, you're probably doing that over some sort of smoker, some sort of low burning fire that's doing more smoking, and you've got it on racks over that. But if you've got fruit and herbs and just basic stuff that you're trying to dry out from your garden or whatever, just a basic drying rack is going to be very, very beneficial to be able to still continue to do that and preserve food. Okay, next thing I have is quality utensils. And when I say quality, I mean you're talking about you're working with camping type pans. You're working with cast iron pans. You're working outside. You're okay. So what I mean by that is quality knives, quality butchering knives, quality skinning knives, just quality knives that have to do with anything that has to do with processing food in the kitchen. And then quality utensils in regards to what you're using to stir food and pots and stuff. And to me, that's wood. You want quality wood, not that cheap, like go to Walmart and get $1, wood spoon. Spend the money in this area getting quality knives, quality butchering stuff, quality wood, utensils, okay? You can get stainless steel and different things like that, but I'm just a big fan of wood in general. I just am a huge fan of that, okay? And I just think that if you get quality ones, they will literally last you a very long time if you take care of them. Okay, next thing I have is a brake bleeder. So that's so that you can seal jars, take the air out of them. It's basically a hand pump that you connect to the top of a jar to suck out all the air by hand, right? Because you're not going to have power possibly to be able to hook up your, vac sealer and hook up the, the hand stuff. There is battery ran stuff out there for a lot of this stuff too. That is an option. But again, that's just another prep now that you have to prep, or another reason to get batteries when, you know, in my world, the point would be to reduce the batteries needed and just stockpile batteries for like the must-have stuff, okay? So brake bleeder is a must. Next thing I have is a water pot. Like a kettle is what I'm really talking about, like an old school heavy duty water kettle, and that could be sitting on a wood stove heating up water. That could be something that's able to be used on a camp stove. That's something that's able to be used on the barbecue or an open fire. Either way, however you're warming it up, that's your kettle. That's your hot water kettle, right? That's how you're heating water quickly. I would say get 2 or 3 of them. You want to have options, and you want to be able to boil large amounts of water. Yes, you have your big stock pots, but it still might be easier to just have those kettles in those different areas warming up and keeping water warm all the time. Next thing I have is a thermos. This is one of my favorite preps, and you need various kinds. They have big thermoses that hold food, like the Stanley version. Basically, it's a big round pot, and it's sealed, and you could put your leftovers or some kind of food you're trying to keep warm while you're cooking something else in the thermos, and it's going to keep it extremely warm for a very, very long time. So my suggestion is you have some of those, and they're not cheap, but it's so worth it to have that stuff in grid down and to just make your kitchen flow a little bit easier when you do not have the things that you're used to having. A thermos, the tall ones for water, right? Just to hold hot water. This is good. Kiddos want some hot chocolate. You want some coffee. You want some tea. You want some water real quick for some cup of noodles. Just, it's nice to have thermoses full of hot water that is going to keep that boiling hot for a very long time, that you can use once you've boiled it enough for the day. You can use it throughout the day. It's very good for kiddos and easy stuff, right? That they might be making. Also, one that is like the in the field coffee pot, larger coffee pot, can make coffee for the day. Coffee's in that, and that's your coffee all day, and it's staying warm in that thermos, and it just has the little push thing to push it that has it come out. And that's nice if you have any kind of group of people to be able to go and get coffee. I mean, me and hubby, that's would be a setup that we would have, especially if we're in a situation where we're having to like keep up, stay up longer, do watches, pay attention more to what's going on, and we need that continuous flow of coffee throughout, you know, a 24-hour period. Okay. Next thing I have is a camp stove, preferably something that has dual heat, right? So, you know, they have those ones where you can fill them with different heating options, alcohol, you could put a sternal under it. So different various pop-up stoves, if you will. They have stoves, just a regular camping stove that takes both propane and butane. That's probably my favorite quick go-to outside of an actual fire pit or the barbecuer. But you just want to make sure that whatever it is that you get, you have some variety, you have some options, and remember the various fuels, okay? So that you have options, because you're not going to be able to just have one type probably, okay? And then in that sense too, think smaller version, maybe that you're using indoors next to a window or outside, right? Or a bigger option that's like up on legs and is, you know, waist height, that has much bigger burners that you can use for possibly pressure canning, okay? And then the last thing I have, I think I've gone through everything else. The last thing I have is large water filtering system. So obviously, then this doesn't have to be a Berkey or like, you can make your water filtering system, but you want a bigger one is what I'm saying. You want something that is big. Build your own, buy one, it doesn't matter, but you need a large size one that will hold several gallons of water at one time. So you constantly always have, you know, filtered water, good to go. You know, you got to fill the kettle full of water to start boiling it. You have to fill that, you know, whatever. You want to have that filtered water ready to go, okay? All right. I think that's my 15, you guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. Go ahead and add in the comments anything you want to add to this list. Top 15 list for grid down kitchen items, must-have items. There's a ton of things. I could have kept going, but I'm going to keep it to 15. But there's a lot of things that I like in my kitchen that make life easy. And some of those things are just regular things, like a dough hook, like a dough cutter, right? Pastry cutter, like a tortilla press. Like there's a lot of different things. So let us know in the comments below your extra thoughts, your extra things that you want to make sure in a grid down situation you would have in your kitchen, in your space. And this can be short-term grid down, or this could be a forever situation. Like if it's forever and the lights are never coming on, I want to make sure that I have this, and this. Let us know in the comments. Let me know also if there's a top 15 that you want to hear from me this week. I have several ideas of different stuff I'm going to bring to you, but we're just going to have fun this week. We're not going to stress, and we're just going to do top 15 lists all week long, all the way through Saturday. So I hope you guys are well. I hope you had a great weekend, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next video. Take care. Bye.